Okay, here we go. I think it's recording now. Okay, so hi, my name is Bhumi and I'm the treasurer of the Multicultural Week Committee. Welcome to today's episode of Dialogue with the Departments. This is a series of interviews with different faculty members at the University of St Andrews where we discuss multiculturalism and the barriers of diversity faced in academia. Today, we're really thrilled to have Vibhor Saxena from the Economics Department joining us. So my first question is, what is your take on the current conversations around diversity within curriculum and members of faculty in academia around the world?
I mean, am I audible to you, Bhumi, now?
Yeah, you are.
That's good. Okay, so I mean, there is one concern to answer this specific question. I mean, and I believe you and your audience would agree with me that we started taking this seriously with some of the incidences which happened in the United States, right? That makes sense. But I mean, this specific spark, which is happening at the moment, and this spike, which is going up to fight against racial injustice, I think that should not be a short-term propaganda or short-term objectives. I think we should plan something for longer term. So when we are saying that, when we are discussing that, what's my take on these conversations around diversity within curriculum and members of faculty in academia, I think we should keep this in mind, that we should keep pushing for this, and we should keep talking about these issues and problems in our society across the world throughout the year, rather than just as one-off instance because something happened in the United States and everybody is suddenly talking about it. But yes, on that note, I have realized that School of Economics took that quite seriously. There were discussions going on at the very senior level as well to introduce some courses, some new modules. Uh, my take is that there should be some really serious discussions on new modules which are interdisciplinary, right, and which are completely focused on how racial problems or these tensions happen across the world in different cultures and in different countries.
Okay, thanks. And do you think your experience in the field of economics as an academic has ever been impacted by your race, by fellow academics, or by students?
Now that's a very difficult question. My only concern is that this question is slightly personal in the sense that if you target a single individual, in a sense that if you ask one individual about this problem, the system doesn't work in such a way that they can come out in open and say that this is the problem which we have faced. But yes, it does happen, and my experience has been quite good in this context. But yes, the system does work in this way that returns to your hard work and investment in education is not identical to what a majority individual would get. I mean, and there is something interesting which I would like to answer over here. I come from India as an upper caste male, so I think I have seen things so clearly now that how this whole system works. I never believed that there is any kind of caste-based discrimination in India. You see, because I was at the top of the food chain as an upper caste male. But since I moved over here, now I've understood the caste dynamics as well. I have been doing research on caste-based discrimination, and I understand the similar concepts apply over here as well. It is not quite binary the way we think that okay, discrimination happens or it does not. It's quite continuous on a scale, and I think the system works in this way that you do not get equal returns in comparison to other colleagues who come from the majority background, and it happens everywhere. So yes, I mean the answer is it's not outright, and because I work in academic sector where I work with best of the minds, so maybe it is not as the problem is not as huge as it is in other fields, but yes, it does happen.
Yeah, I agree that it is more of a continuous thing than a binary thing.
Yes.
Next, do you think there has been resistance to change inherently Eurocentric practices, specifically at such an old, Western and fairly traditional university?
It is. I mean, this is bound to happen. Change is always costly. Change is always going to be costly, and that is something which is not. I mean, we can't say that only St. Andrews has this issue. Most of the old institutions where roots are in last 400, 500 years, you would find this specific problem because, as I mentioned, change is going to be costly. But St. Andrews, as a university, can do much more in this. As I mentioned, introducing these new modules. And as a lecturer, I've also realized that when you start teaching, I think even students can be provided knowledge and information that how they should be behaving and how they should be dealing with their lecturers. You see this problem everywhere. So I think what St. Andrews can do, it's a slow and gradual process. They should start taking, the university can start taking it a bit more seriously. I know university already does. There is a framework which exists, but I think more information transfer is necessary for both staff members and students, that how university can help both students and staff members from BAME.
Okay, thank you. And what are the kind of steps that you would like to personally take to adapt your teaching practices to cater to students of varying backgrounds and varying beliefs? And have you adapted your practice in the past at all?
Yes, I did that. So I think as an economist, the modules which I teach mainly is in statistics, applied econometrics, development. Uh, I think what I have done is that I have used examples from across the world. That is what I intend to do. So I mean, I may have a snake charmer in my lectures. I may have examples from the Scottish Gaels. I may have examples from Texas. I may have examples from Latin America. So the idea is that even if there's a single student who comes from BAME background, who comes from a specific country and finding it difficult to, merge within the culture, you try to make them feel that, it's that you may be away from home, but you're not far away from it. There are people who can take care of you. These are very small steps. And I think adding few examples in the lectures and making them feel that, they're not entirely different from the majority over here. These are a few things which can be included in the curriculum and pedagogical activities across the university.
And moving on from that, in the current situation with COVID-19, what kind of changes should students be expecting within teaching practices in general?
Well, I mean, I think over here, university is focused a lot on the student experience. As a lecturer, I have been teaching at both MSc and undergrad level at the moment. And I mean, from my point of view, I have missed in-person teaching a lot. And I'm sure my colleagues we are all inclined to go back to the lecture. To students, I think St. Andrews, as usual, the School of Economics has provided excellent teaching support. There is dual mode of teaching going on. I think if we stay indoors for a while, pretty soon we will be back to our normal university activities. But once again, at the moment, I think it is ideal to stay home and keep going with the same learning intensity. The schedule has been prepared, and our lecturers and my colleagues are working really hard to, provide the same kind of experience which you get in a lecture theater. And as you all are aware that by week 7, we are going towards in-person teaching as well. I will be conducting tutorials in lecture theater. So at the moment, stay indoors, stay safe, and focus on learning and teaching the same way you would do in-person teaching. There is one more important thing that many students who are away from home over here and not getting that complete experience of university, especially if you're coming from BAME background, do not feel that you're isolated, do not feel anxious. If there is any concern, the staff members will be happy to help.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are finding it easier maybe online when they're not having to walk to lectures and things like that. But I think tutorials are greatly missed.
Sorry to interject. This is an important point. Students may be enjoying this, but that is that brings us back to the most important point, that many students who may be anxious may not be ready to come out in open. It is still a type of an isolation for all of us. See, if it is affecting us, that we want to go back to in the safe environment and go to lecture theaters, like this had never happened. But COVID-19 is there. We are taking precautions, but there may be some students who are not very happy with this isolation, and there may be instances with some kind of anxiety. So we should be open about it, and we should, once again, clearly pass on the message that if you want to talk to somebody, you have friends, you have colleagues, you have your lecturers. and your university staff members are always there to talk to students.
Yeah, that's great. And do you think the university is being accused of kind of just ticking the boxes rather than going to restructure knowledge systems and create an environment that's more inclusive? What do you have to say on that?
I think university has done quite a lot, but there is still plenty of room for improvement in this specific case. So, for example, I think again, as I said, this has to be taken a bit more proactively. I have been attached to this university from last 6 years. I enjoyed each and every day over here. But yes, I mean, in the context which we are discussing, again, university can be a bit more proactive and can let us know in detail that these are the people, these are the staff members, these are the colleagues which are always there for your help, especially if you come from minority background, for both staff members and students. I think we can be a bit more proactive in this. University has been great help. It's been an excellent place to work. And I'm sure this is the same thing apply for students as well. Students enjoy here. All the students who come to St. Andrews, learn a lot, but enjoy their time over here as well. But again, the point is that, yes, there is still room for improvement. And as I mentioned, we have to be proactive in the sense that providing information that these are the facilities and the departments or colleagues are available to both students and staff members as well, which are there to help you or to assist you if at any point it has been realized by any individual that there is some kind of discrimination or injustice happening within the university. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And what do you think maybe is one thing that the student body could do or do more of to educate themselves or to exercise any kind of tangible change?
It's the same thing. What I was talking about the university, the student body can do the same thing as well, especially for first couple of years when new students have come to the university. There could be a structured knowledge transfer to those students that you will be meeting lecturers who are not from the same majority background, So how the student behavior can be appropriate as well. Within the students, there can be knowledge transfer as well, that if there is students who come from minority background, how the behavior of the majority in this case. Nobody does it clear. These things, this kind of behavior which students face of inequality and injustice does not happen openly. Okay, this is quite implicit. As a student, when I was doing my MSc, first few months were very difficult for me, right? And when I did my MSc from Edinburgh University, it was great experience. I learned a lot, but again, there was something which you miss, and that is the existence of a body which can, come there and support you in the sense, and then the total transfer of knowledge. I'm sure each and every university, including St. Andrews, has an institution in place which is there to help. But my idea is that there is room for improvement to be more proactive in that. Just the way we are dealing with gender issues, I think we can do something similar in the case of BAME issues as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the final question is, what is your opinion on decolonizing the economics curriculum? And do you think it's possible to decolonize that field in the first place?
Oh, again, that's going to be very costly. It's a gradual process. It is happening. There has been changes across the world in this context, But again, it's a very costly process. And I think, again, as I mentioned, this takes us back to the first question, my first answer, that new modules. Again, the idea is that can we bring new modules which address the problem? You cannot decolonize everything in one go, that is not possible. But what we can do is create more space for new modules where we can teach about this historical prejudice and why these things are costly for the society and why these things should be reduced in a gradual process. Again, we all understand that if we try to decolonize it in a discontinuous way, like suddenly if you want to do it, there will be protests against it. I mean, again, what I'm meaning over here is that there will be some kind of implicit behavior which can be extremely harsh. So what we should be doing is, again, dealing with knowledge transfer in the sense that we keep the current curriculum, but start making space for new modules which are clearly discussing and providing knowledge to students that there are issues within our society and we should be dealing with it. And again, as we assume, there are basic assumptions in economics that, we crave for equality. As a human being, we do want it, until and unless it is not costly for us. So again, once we start providing this knowledge transfer, few modules have been created at the interdisciplinary level, where we talk about historical injustices and how we can, develop remedies against it. They will start finding space within the existing curriculum, and maybe we can start seeing changes in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure modules such as like political economy or history of economics already include little bits of that. So thank you so much, Vibhor. That's been today's dialogue with the departments. And to those watching, I'll see you very soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.